Bleach, Thousand Year Blood War, Part 2, Episode 7. Previously, in 4th Division's First Aid Station, Lieutenant Kotetsu and Lieutenant Yachiru were looking after the badly injured captains. Then, they were attacked by a Quincy with some weird ability that confuses the two lieutenants. Now, this guy introduces himself as Yachiru, Sternritter V. But Yachiru isn't having it and punches him before he can explain anything. She punches through thin air, confused. Then, out of nowhere, Yachiru's shoulder gets cut open. The new enemy called their ability Vanishing Point, which lets him go invisible and intangible, and even makes people forget he exists. Yachiru tries to punch him again, but he goes all ghost-like and avoids it. Isane is confused about what the little girl is doing, but Yachiru's convinced he's an enemy because she felt something weird when she saw him. So, Yachiru picks up her Zanpakuto, explaining to Isane that she's going to slice up this new enemy. Yachiru tries to stab Yachiru from behind, but she counterattacks with her sword, even though he's all intangible. Weirdly enough, he still gets a cut on his nose. He couldn't figure out how he got cut when he dodged Yachiru's attack. But Yachiru's got a secret move. Her sword has extra blades that make it super tricky to predict. So, even if Yachiru tries to predict her swings, he's more likely to mess up and get hit. Yachiru summons her Shirkai manifestation, Senpo Kenju, these beast-like creatures, and attacks Yachiru again. Then, she does a celebratory dance with her beast buddies. But Yachiru pops back up, still bleeding from Yachiru's attack. He tries to disappear, but a big piece of his shoulder goes missing instead. He's super confused, and then, there's this guy watching from inside a barrier. Of course, Isane is surprised this new enemy is inside the barrier. The new enemy is impressed with Yachiru's power, and as the injured Quincy tried to attack, the new guy completely annihilated Yachiru. Isane freaks out and tells Gremmy to move away from a barrier. But Gremmy surprises her by saying she doesn't need to worry about the captains because he's already killed them. Isane's horrified. Then Yachiru attacks Gremmy, but he easily messes up her arm, turning the bones into cookies. Yachiru collapses, realizing she's in deep trouble. And just when things are crazy, Kenpachi crashes in through the ceiling. He's looking for Yachiru because he realizes her Ryatsu is acting up. Isane is relieved to see him and asks him about Captain Unohana and their battle. You know? That freaking amazing battle between Zaraki and Unohana to unlock Zaraki's suppressed powers in Part 1. Anyway, he just flat out says he killed her. Isane's sad but kind of relieved because that means Zaraki is the new Kenpachi now. The new enemy figures out Kenpachi's a big deal, so he turned the place into a stone fortress, setting the stage for the big, bad Zaraki. Kenpachi's confused and asks if it's a spell, but the Sternritter confirms this is for real. It turns out this new enemy is called Gremmy, the real Sternritter V, and that he's the strongest one. Kenpachi wanted to test that declaration, so he charges at Gremmy, but his sword stops at Gremmy's shoulder. Gremmy brags that he can make his body super strong, like steel. Kenpachi doesn't buy it and still slices Gremmy, but something tells me it's not gonna be that easy. Gremmy falls down on one knee, blood oozing out from a wound. And then there's Kenpachi, all mad at him, going like, "Hey, why didn't you tell me you're tough as nails? I could have just hit you real hard from the start, you know?" Kenpachi's all about smashing through steel. Then, Kenpachi, being the big shot he is, notices Gremmy's face and figures out that Gremmy didn't even believe he could get sliced. So Kenpachi's like, "Look buddy, there's nothing you can dream up that I can't cut. I'm Kenpachi, after all." Meanwhile, down on the ground near some fort, these 11th Division folks feel Kenpachi's power and start celebrating like crazy. Kenpachi, though, thinks they're being too noisy. Gremmy tells Kenpachi not to worry about their cheers. And here's the twist, there's not a scratch on this guy's body. He guesses Gremmy's got some healing mojo, but nope, Gremmy says he just imagined he was healed and he's healed. Kenpachi's mind is blown and thinks this guy's powers are nuts. But he's cool with it, ready to fight no matter how weird things get. So the Sternritter imagines a flood of lava coming at Zaraki, but Kenpachi swipes it away like it's nothing. And he tells Yachiru to find cover. But then Gremmy reminds him that Yachiru's bones are cookie-like right now. Kenpachi's like, what the heck? He doesn't get it though, but he charges for another attack. Suddenly, Kenpachi finds himself floating in a water cube above Gremmy. Now this guy's powers are OP because he can make whatever he thinks becomes reality. He imagined Kenpachi jumping into a water-filled air, and that's what happened. Also, Yachiru falls into a crack in the fortress, and Gremmy puts the water cube into the hole, trapping them. Gremmy thinks he is done with them by killing them slowly, but he's so wrong. Kenpachi breaks free with Yachiru in hand and attacks Gremmy, who blocks with a metal bar. Kenpachi notices Yachiru's bones are back to normal, and this is because Gremmy got distracted. It seems he can't keep his reality-bending powers for long. At a distance, another Sternritter, a skin-knack Luvar, watches, also impressed by Gremmy's reality-bending powers. Anyway, Kenpachi tells Yachiru to fix her arm, so she jumps down, leaving Kenpachi to challenge Gremmy, who's shocked. This is because he's always been the strongest and he's never really had to defend it. Now he's all excited about this fight as Kenpachi charges at him while he attacks with stone pillars, shoots at him with imaginary rifles, and even shoot missiles at Kenpachi. But Kenpachi blocks and smashes through all the attacks. Gremmy imagines creating metal plates with blades, but Kenpachi easily slices through them. Kenpachi then manages to stab Gremmy, but he can't pull out his sword, and then a huge stone hand comes down on him. Kenpachi breaks free, slashes Gremmy again, and messing him up pretty badly. He starts doubting himself, but refuses to admit he could lose. Kenpachi notices Gremmy's doubt and stops attacking. He asks Gremmy if he imagined losing. He thinks about this question, realizing he can heal himself and even make himself invincible. Now he's confident again, even thanking Kenpachi for helping him overcome thoughts of death. But he thinks Kenpachi is going to regret it. Then he makes a clone of himself, allowing him to double his imagination powers. And you know what this guy did? This guy summons a freaking, massive meteor that will destroy everything except him. As the meteor descends on the Soul Society, everyone in the Sarite panics, but this dude, Kenpachi, is actually thrilled by it. He doesn't care as he jumps at the meteor with his sword out. He goes full badass, slicing the meteor in two, which sends a shower of meteor's pieces everywhere. After that, Kenpachi stands there with his massive shuriken like a boss. Gremmy freaks out and calls Kenpachi a monster. So, he creates more clones and then imagines a massive vacuum of space around Kenpachi that he cannot cut, which evaporates all the liquid in his body. But Zaraki is tough. He breaks the space pocket with his shuriken, cutting Gremmy in half, and drags himself out of the space. And guess what? All the clones self-destruct, hurting the monster captain. Here's the twist though, Kenpachi walks out of the explosion, just a bit burnt on his chest. And the shocked look on Gremmy's face is priceless. He calls Kenpachi a real monster. Gremmy's low self-esteem started to show, and so he jumps up towards Kenpachi, and he was all like, "I'm going to be stronger than you, and I'm gonna win this time." But Gremmy's body can't handle all that power he's trying to pull off. His body starts falling apart, and he crashes to the ground. You see? Kenpachi is so powerful, and Gremmy tried to imagine him to be stronger than even his own imagination, which, according to Kenpachi, is pretty foolish. After the dust settles, Gremmy is lying on some rubble, wondering if he got taken out by his own thoughts. Kenpachi lands near him, saying that Gremmy's imagination was actually right about how strong he is. Gremmy's like, "Wait, it wasn't just my imagination, it's that only Kenpachi's body can handle his own power." It gets kinda deep as Gremmy realizes he's making excuses. Gremmy's body starts breaking apart into erasure. He admits he wanted to win so bad, and his body is like, "See, yeah, I'm out." Then a brain is ejected out of the decaying body and Gremmy's disappears, talking about how his imagination is hitting its limit. And it ends on this kind of sad note, with Gremmy disappearing and Kenpachi just watching. If you enjoyed this video, remember to smash that like button and hit that subscribe bell so you can experience the epicness of the next episodes. So, stay tuned for more epic battles and mind-bending twists.